Okay, before we get started here, I'd like to make it clear that this video was written before the recent console release. There will be an addendum at the end where I'll address the controversy surrounding the censorship, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, enjoy the video.
You've made your point.
Yeah, it's fucking annoying, isn't it?
Not really. I just can't believe you're bitching about something that happened over a year ago.
Well, the wounds are still fresh. The psychological wounds, I mean. Ow, these stupid bandages.
It ain't my fault you couldn't handle a glass of eggnog.
I told you, I didn't pass out from the eggnog. It's just that I saw...
You saw... what?
I can't remember. It's all a blur now. Wait, I remember seeing a date.
What date?
October 20th, 2022.
We had an incident with him earlier, but he's under control now.
Good. Don't let it happen again. You know the administrator won't be pleased.
Understood, sir.
What, does that mean something to you?
Mind your business.
You know what's weird? I have absolutely no memory of anything before that date. It's like my brain is empty.
You said it, not me.
Shut up. Wait, I do remember.
Go on.
I'm supposed to make a follow-up to my Ready or Not video. No, I knew that already. Oh, okay, I'm not bullshitting you. I definitely remember something from before that date. I remember a...
Go on.
I remember a roadhouse. Texas Roadhouse.
What?
Texas Roadhouse was an overpriced chain steakhouse that was around before everything collapsed. You'd go there and pay $30 for a steak, and the waiter would bring out a piece of rubber. When you asked, "Where's the steak?" he'd reply, "That is the steak, sir."
If you're ready for a good night of fun and partying, go to the Texas Roadhouse. They know how to do it right.
Fuck you, Willie Nelson, you lied to me.
I think you're the only person on Earth who has beef with Texas fucking Roadhouse.
No pun intended.
Are you proud of yourself?
No, I wake up every morning wishing I was dead.
This call is being recorded. What is your emergency?
We need the police. Someone just killed the senator.
I'm sorry, sir. Can you repeat that?
We need the police. I'm at Memorial Park. Someone just shot Senator Fremont.
Okay, sir, thank you. Can I take your name?
Carlos.
Thanks, Carlos. You said someone has been shot. Was there a dispute or...
Oh, no, you're not listening. Someone shot Senator Fremont as he was giving a speech. It wasn't anybody up close. It must have been a sniper or something. I don't know. I was listening to his speech when there was a gunshot and he hit the deck. It's me.
What's the good word of the counter, my dudes? Didn't mean to do that. So we're about a year and a half out from Ready or Not's 1.0 release, and it's also been 2 years since my early access video. How exciting. As expected, the game's undergone some significant changes since then, and even thrown a few post-release updates into the bargain. Now we have 2 DLCs, a proper campaign with permadeath settings, numerous bug fixes, and probably by the time this video comes out, a console port with difficulty settings. But I suspect the Void Interactive isn't done with the game just yet, so I'm not gonna give it the should you play treatment treatment here. Sorry, Void, maybe next time. Think of this video as the equivalent of a medical checkup. I'm gonna take Ready or Not into my office, tap its knees, check its blood pressure, stick a couple of fingers up its nose and a thumb in its ass and suplex it. I mean, that's what my doctor does during my checkups, but anyway, I'll go over the new features in the first section, subject the mission's hide-and-seek an elephant to a brief analysis. This is why you proofread, my dudes. Subject the mission's hide-and-seek an elephant to a brief analysis in the second section, and then air my thoughts on the state of the game in the last one. So grab your zip ties and rifles, get your nods, switch on your IR lasers, and let's move out.
God gave you a perfectly hard skull. Use it.
God gave me the hardest fucking skull.
God gave me the hardest fucking...
You wanna try that one again there, Chief?
No,
You wanna run that? Yeah.
That joke got mighty flaccid on you, didn't it?
yeah, it's softened up real quick. When you get to be my age, fellas, it gets harder.
So what's the single-player experience like in 2025? Sure, let's start with that. Now you'll remember from my early access video that the single-player experience at the time was, how should I put it, like push-starting a car uphill. Whatever your thoughts, I think we can mostly agree it was subpar, the main culprits being the finicky SWAT AI and tedious post-mission cleanup phase. They were distracting blemishes on what was otherwise a great early access game, one that I was comfortable recommending at full price, but with the added caveat that you should probably wait if you're a solo player. Maybe check out SWAT 4 instead, was what I said back then. I also took issue with your squad mates' personalities, or rather, lack thereof. So about that.
Cover the area. Copy. Ask for it. Bet it's busy. Everyone wants to get out of the town. Me included. Christ. North Hills has seen some better days. Used to ride my bike down here as a kid. Holy fucking here, man.
Talk to lead. Trailers inbound.
This is exactly what I wanted. It's not overdone, nor does it distract from the game's dark tone. It serves its purpose in giving your squad mates some character and humanity. Little features like this go a long way in making the game feel more alive, you know? And on the topic of your squad mates, I'm pleased to report that their AI has improved significantly. I ran into a couple of bugs during my initial playthrough, but that was about it, really. They're much more responsive to your commands and far more capable in firefights. I was now more comfortable with splitting the element and having blue clear one room and red clear the other, for example, or having both teams breach the same room from different angles.
Post up and provide cover. Go, go, go!
Flashing it.
Move, baby. We're clear.
Opening on the right. Put it down!
Get down now! Put your hands up! Got it open over there. Dropping your light.
If you tried that in the beta, you'd find 4 pools of blood where your squad mates were and then get shot from halfway across the map by a dude with a shotgun. But the 2 new features that make the single-player experience more enjoyable deserve special mention. Firstly, you can now enable highlights for dropped weapons. You won't be surprised to hear that I turned this shit on immediately. And secondly, once you've shot or apprehended all the suspects, you can order your squad to sweep and clear the entire map. Say goodbye to spending hours searching the map for that one civilian or weapon you missed. Thank you, Void.
Secure the area.
Securing. Right. Element, this is talk. That's how we get it done, folks. Roll in for debrief.
And look at this. We finally have mission briefings, map schematics, and detailed reports of all the suspects and civilians in each mission. Good. Great. Perfect. I can state with confidence that the single-player experience is now a viable alternative to multiplayer. That being said, and while we're still on the topic, let's go over the campaign, or commander mode as the game calls it. Opinions seem pretty divided on it, so here's the deal. You can still play all the missions in quick play if commander mode isn't your cup of tea, and I can totally understand if it isn't, because I'm pretty mixed on it myself. I think we were all expecting something along the lines of SWAT 4's campaign structure for the full release, and Well, that's kind of what we got, but also not really. Weirdly enough, it seems to have taken a few notes from XCOM, though thankfully you don't have to worry about your squad mates missing at point-blank range here. I know that's beating a dead horse, but damn if it doesn't still piss me off every time it happens. So here's the deal with Commander Mode. Judge is still the protagonist and you play through the campaign and DLC levels in linear succession, but now your squad mates have RPG-style modifiers, a sanity meter, and will no take backsies for real be gone for good if they die during a mission, and you'll need to hire new officers to replace them. This is where the XCOM influence comes in. Now, the question I had going into Commander Mode was whether these additions made the gameplay more interesting or were just unneeded fluff. Gimmicks to advertise on the store page and nothing more. My answer? It's complicated. I think it's a neat idea in concept, but my goal for this video is to evaluate Ready or Not for what it is, and not what it isn't. I'll start with the positives and say that, at the very least, it adds more variety to your tactics. Initially, anyway. I was putting a decent amount of thought into which officers I should take on each mission, weighing their pros and cons and building loadouts around their specific traits. Oh, the next mission is Twisted Nerve? Let's get an officer with the Intimidation trait, so that the suspects will actually surrender and not pull MAC-10s out of their asses when I look away for 1 second. Neon Tombs next? Definitely gonna need the Armorer trait for that. Coming up on Grease Palms now? Oh cool, it can eat shit. Okay, I'll be honest, Grease Palms isn't the miserable nightmare it was in the beta. Every now and then you'll get shot from a ridiculous angle, but after all the tweaks and fixes to the suspect AI, it doesn't happen nearly as often. It's still a difficult mission, but at least it's not complete bullshit anymore. But anyway, it wasn't until my second playthrough with the Iron Man setting enabled that the cracks started to show. For starters, some of the traits are borderline useless, and the ones that aren't are so essential that it would be stupid not to run them. Armorer and Nutritionist, which boost your armor and health respectively, make even the toughest missions a cakewalk, provided you aren't playing the game like it's Call of Duty, of course. I ran them on almost every mission I could, and this was the result. Both playthroughs combined, I only lost one officer, but he had the kicker ability, so you'll forgive me if I wasn't too broken up over his death. What does he do? Oh right, he lets me knock down doors with a single kick. Cool. Now why the hell would I choose him over, I don't know, someone who gives me extra armor, or extra health, or makes suspects more likely to surrender, or someone who can literally revive an officer who died during a mission? I called that guy Darth Plagueis the Wise. I guess that's why the sanity mechanic exists, which scales off how many suspects you and your squad mates kill, and also what disturbing events they witness during a mission. Officers will go from anxious to stressed, and finally to a crisis state, and you'll need to send them to therapy, locking them out of your lineup for a few missions. Now in my first playthrough, this led to a harrowing moment where I was faced with a difficult mission, and had to figure out what to do with the lineup I had, which consisted of all my non-starters. I could fire them and hire more useful officers, but that affects the overall sanity of your barracks. So I decided against it and went into the following mission with my D team. And to my great surprise, we succeeded. The victory made all the more satisfying by how much the odds were stacked against us. It reminded me of those moments in XCOM where you'd be forced to send your rookies out to the slaughter, only for them to succeed and return to base clutching an alien head in one hand and a bloodstained pistol in the other. When my A-team was ready to jump back in, I tearfully bid farewell to Man McKickdoors. I didn't like you at first, Mr. McKickdoors, but through adversity we bonded and made the most out of a shitty situation. Godspeed. So anyway, I discovered during my second playthrough that you can just grind the easiest mission a few times until your squad is ready. And here I thought that you needed to play a new mission to get your squad back. This highlights my biggest issue with Commander Mode. It's a bit too video gamey for something as grounded as Ready or Not. The easily exploitable sanity mechanics and officer traits are at odds with the realistic gameplay. And no surprise, these mechanics also clash with the narrative tone. My first thought after playing something like Elephant, more on that later, should ideally be, oh god, that was really disturbing and my squad is shaken, and not, hey D-team, you wanna go fuck up the gas station while the A-team is dealing with their trauma? I know, what a bunch of pussies. You could counter this by saying that playing with friends also clashes with the tone, but I'd counter that by saying it would be impossible for it not to. That's just the nature of the multiplayer beast, and it's fine. Think about a game like Arma. I'll bet you take it very seriously when you're playing alone, But in multiplayer, that's where you airstrike your friends and try out stupid mods. For me, the multiplayer is for dicking around with friends in a SWAT-themed sandbox.
Alright, Lucas, speak to the world.
I'm running for re-election. I'm a SWAT officer and I'm a politician. I'm probably the best one out here.
Now, Lucas, for the record, how do you feel about your re-election?
I feel great. I really think I can win this one.
That's all the time we had today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Fuck this idiot.
Yeah! Did you get him?
Yeah, sorry, I shot you a bit there.
You're good. There's two guys in here. This guy sounds like he's still alive.
Don't!
Unauthorized use of force.
He shot me! We're gonna take it from the back over here.
Hey, yo. Hit it from the back. Alright, boy. Wait. In this post office and give the...
Single player, on the other hand, is for when I want to be immersed, to absorb the fantastic atmosphere and ponder the game's confrontational subject matter. The gameplay is engaging enough for the former, and the storytelling is compelling enough for the latter. But Commander Mode, sadly, is an uneven mess that stretches too far in too many different directions. I guess that's where I'll leave off with my thoughts on it. It's an interesting experiment, if nothing else. Actually, just one more thing. I briefly mentioned Iron Man mode earlier, so here's the deal with that. If you die during a mission, your entire save file gets deleted. I feel this is the ideal way to play Commander mode, as it adds some weight to every tactical decision you make. But maybe don't enable it for your first playthrough, unless you're a masochist or something. Alright, let's move on to the DLCs, which now that I think about it, have also been pretty divisive, judging by the Steam reviews anyway.
Dock to entry team.
Built to be
Keep
a
going.
refuge for rich scumbags. Now it's just a refuge for scumbags.
Personally, I like them both, but I do slightly prefer Dark Waters over Home Invasion. The missions are more replayable, and I also found the counter-terrorism theme more interesting. Both DLCs have 3 missions each, which we'll go over here, starting with Home Invasion, as it came out first. Home Invasion takes place in the aftermath of a hurricane that swept through Los Sueños. The LSPD is short on resources, and the storm has made life nightmarish for the city's homeless population, as seen in the opening mission, Dorms. A violent gunfight has broken out at a dilapidated college dorm, which has served as a makeshift homeless shelter in the aftermath of the storm. The situation's gotten out of control, and you need to contain it.
That just goes outside.
Yeah, that door just goes outside.
Okay.
Audible to my left. Why am I red?
Because through gas. Let it clear.
Oh, yeah, time to go.
Got him?
In short, good mission, depressing mission. Yeah, this is probably my least played mission in the game. Not because it's poorly made, but because it's just, you know, depressing. It's a far cry from missions like Valley of the Dolls and Hide and Seek, where the suspects are unambiguously evil. No. In here, the suspects are despondent junkies, and the few civilians present just want to cling to their collapsing sanctuary. There's a line in the briefing about relocating them to a proper shelter afterward. But I mean, look around you. The city's a mess now. Who's to say any of the shelters even have enough room for them? It's a tough dilemma, because on the one hand, the building is unstable and basically a drug den at this point. But on the other hand, there's a good chance the civilians we save will just be thrown out into the street again afterward. This may be the only home they have left. Let's face it, the situation sucks, the circumstances surrounding it suck, and even your team leader acknowledges that the whole thing sucks.
These folks are scared, and this building is their sanctuary. For most of them, it's the only thing they have in the world. It sucks, but everybody has lost something in this damn storm. They are no exception.
It's a harsh reminder that you won't always be dealing with situations as black and white as, to repeat, Valley of the Dolls. You will be faced with situations like this where the circumstances are more gray. It's not a difficult mission, which I feel is intentional, but certainly one of the more heavy and provocative ones. Now let's move on to something a little more straightforward. Narcos. Agent Esperanza, an undercover cop who's been investigating the Los Locos gang, has gone missing after his cover's been blown. You and your squad arrive at the scene, and now must follow the blood trail, yes, I mean that literally, to rescue him. This one's quick and dirty. In theory, anyway. It's actually a pretty tough mission, and it doesn't seem like it would be at first. You bust into Esperanza's house, find a bloody chair and documents, and then proceed to clear the homes surrounding it. So far, so simple. They're in close proximity to each other, so naturally all the gunfights are close quarters. Until you get to this open space right here, and then the game goes, hey, fuck you, get sniped, idiot. See, this is where it gets hard. You want my advice? Stay as far away from this area in the middle for as long as you can. Snake along the right side, clear out the homes in the back, and then collapse in on this area.
Suspect inside. Suspect inside. I'm gonna see if I can get some gas in there. Just toss some grenades in there. Never mind. He's
Flash.
He's running out. He's running out.
Yep. He dropped his weapon. He dropped his weapon. Pushing.
Proceed with your mission.
Alright, excellent. Alright.
On the whole, it's a good mission. It's short, tense, challenging, and also has a pretty disturbing ending that caught me off guard the first time I played it. Not gonna show it on YouTube though. So plan ahead, study the map, grab SMGs, and please listen to your squad leader for fuck's sake.
Alright, stop.
I should have paid attention.
Yeah,
This is what happens when you disobey management. You get domed in the face.
I have footage of me saying stop.
Oh god, that's gonna get in the video, isn't it?
Oh, you betcha. It's gonna be slowed down, there's gonna be an arrow pointing at you, there's gonna be a fart sound effect when you fall over.
I have changed, just like you, for how long, must I wait? I know there's something wrong.
The final mission in the DLC is, fittingly, a home invasion. In Lawmaker, a group of eco-terrorists have stormed into the mansion of an oil lobbyist and taken him and his family hostage. Now you and your squad must quietly enter the building and control the situation. I don't think this is thematically the most interesting mission in the DLC, but it definitely has the best gameplay, emphasizing that players should try to maintain the element of surprise for as long as they can. Part of this has to do with the verticality of the map. The mansion is 3 stories tall and has plenty of staircases, which if you've played something like Rainbow Six Siege, you'll know are perfect spots to get ambushed from. Grab a suppressor and move slow, because this one demands a little more finesse. A little sneaky beaky action, you might say. Solid mission, can't complain.
I got you.
Yep. Walking at him. He's got a hostage as well.
Yep. Just pay attention to him.
2 hostages.
Alright.
Behind you, Jason.
Keep me covered. I'm gonna secure him.
Don't make this worse on yourself.
So that's Home Invasion done and dusted. Now let's move on to the first mission in the Dark Waters DLC, Mirage at Sea. Saeed, the hedonistic son of a Qatari oligarch, has commandeered a ship, taken the passengers hostage, and kidnapped several women from an offshore party. You and your squad, in cooperation with Coast, legally distinct from the Coast Guard no doubt, must apprehend Saeed before he orders his men to kill the hostages. While Lawmaker required a more subtle approach, this one demands the complete opposite. The stakes are high and have international consequences, and most importantly, it's a timed mission. It's good though. The time limit adds some urgency to the proceedings, and it requires you to be more aggressive with your tactics. You can't afford to slowly breach and clear every room on the ship. You need to race up to the top deck and apprehend Saeed as quickly as you can. Equip light armor and leg it, that's the strat. Civilians, ignore them for now. Rooms, quickly swing them open to make sure you don't get shot in the back and keep moving. Also maybe put on the Task Force 141 theme from Modern Warfare 2, the original Modern Warfare 2.
He should be up there.
There is God.
Watch.
Ooh, watch the door swung open.
Alright, push it.
Can we go?
Cross. Hostage.
Watch blue.
Cross fire, yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Good stuff all around. I still prefer the methodical pacing of the other missions, but it's nice to occasionally have one like this that really lights a fire under your seat. Variety is always a good thing, I find. Either way, you probably won't be surprised to hear that the second mission slows things back down. In Leviathan, the same group of, oh I forgot to mention, all the missions in the DLC take place at sea. That's the theme, if you couldn't tell by the mission names. Or the name of the DLC itself. Sorry, that was a pointless digression. Anyway, in Leviathan, the same group of eco-terrorists from the Lawmaker mission have infiltrated an oil rig and taken the workers hostage. They're also streaming the attack, so it's up to you and your squad to rescue the workers and stop the broadcast.
Be advised, suspects are holding civilians hostage.
They got hostages.
Nice job.
This is another tricky one, and that comes down to the look of the oil rig itself. The gunmetal gray corridors and dark lighting make it easy for the suspects to blend in and ambush you. There are plenty of narrow walkways that are easy to get funneled down, and the interior sections are tight and claustrophobic. You'll need a mixture for this mission. Bring a couple of rifles to clear the outside, and maybe some SMGs for the interior. Oh, and be sure to check the helicopter cam frequently. It's available in all the Dark Waters missions, but it's especially helpful here, given how easily you can lose track of the suspects. From an immersion standpoint, this is an incredible mission. It has all these great little details that, in my opinion, make it one of the more atmospheric missions in the game. There's the constant sound of the wind beating against the rig. When you're outside, you'll see water dripping down the screen, and the sound of the alarm blaring in the background heightens the tension. It's pretty good from a gameplay standpoint too. The only problem is that it runs like shit. Maybe this will be fixed by the time this video comes out, but I'm gonna mention it anyway. I'm above the recommended requirements for this game, and yet I average around 30 frames in this mission, sometimes lower. Every other mission in the game runs perfectly fine, so I don't know what the deal with this one is. I normally don't complain about the frame rate in a game unless it's so inconsistent that it makes it unplayable. And while it isn't unplayable here, it does make the mission more frustrating than it should be. There have been more than a few times where the frame rate has dropped or stuttered and I've died. Aggravating, to say the least. So all in all, good mission, but please fix the frame rate or I'll mail a strongly worded letter to your office, I don't know. And then there's Three-Letter Triad, the third and final mission in the Dark Waters DLC. An illegal arms deal is going down at a long-abandoned resort between a mercenary group called Black Sentinel and some smugglers. You don't have any intel on what the mercs are buying, but safe to say it ain't Pokemon cards. You need to stop them, plain and simple. The resort is massive, has plenty of rooms to get lost in, and 20 suspects roaming around. If you're one of those players who has an itchy trigger finger, not saying that I know someone like that.
Okay, so we're gonna spring this open.
I've never seen it.
Hold your fire.
Chris. You're the stupidest, dumb rat.
Well, you're in luck, because this mission feels like it's from a completely different game. Want to know how many non-combatants are in the mission? 1. And he's an arms dealer, so I think it's safe to call him an indirect combatant. Yes, you still have to abide by the usual rules of engagement, but more often than not, the suspects will shoot first, so it ends up playing less like a traditional SWAT mission and more like, and a light bulb went off in my head when I realized this, terrorist hunt from Rainbow Six Vegas. In other words, it's complete bedlam.
Control your shots! Make each one count! Bid! I would shoot them!
I can also see why they gave you a few entry points to choose from, because the default one sucks. There are several windows looking right at the staircase you enter from, and on more than a few occasions, one of us got sniped on the way to the building, which unfortunately reminded me of all those times in Rainbow Six Siege when the thermite on our team would get brained as soon as he stepped out of spawn. What I'm trying to say is that Void Interactive made a Rainbow Six mission and thought they could slip it past me, but here's the catch. I like it. It's one of the more sloppily designed missions in the game, but that's why it's fun. It's little more than a thinly veiled excuse to run around and enjoy the gunplay. And that's fine by me because the gunplay is still as punchy as it was in the beta. Plus, all the suspects are smugglers and mercs, so fuck 'em. Ain't none of that moral ambiguity here, that's for sure. And there you have it. That's all the new features and DLCs from the last year and a half covered. So let's move on and briefly discuss the redesigned Port Hokan mission, now called Hide and Seek, which has become my favorite mission in the game, for thematic reasons. Ready or Not storytelling has come a long way since early access. What started as a disconnected series of SWAT scenarios has evolved into a coherent narrative with individual storylines. The Amos Vull storyline now spans 4 missions, starting with 23 megabytes a second and concluding with Valley of the Dolls. So now there's even more of a build-up to its harrowing finale, with the distressing details in the earlier missions coming together to form the big, disturbing picture at the end. It's like you're pulling on a loose thread in a shirt, with each pull revealing more horrifying details that'll make you want to see it through to the end, if only so you can put a bullet through Amos's skull. I think you'll find the narrative absorbing if you're a new player, and as a veteran player, you'll appreciate the added bits of foreshadowing in each mission. For example, in the penultimate mission of the Vull storyline, there's a certain musical motif that will sound familiar. Have a listen. Makes your skin crawl, doesn't it? And that is to say nothing of the missions that underwent more drastic changes from the beta to release, in some cases completely changing the context entirely. Nowhere is this more apparent than in Hide and Seek, which now serves as both the conclusion to the gun smuggling storyline as well as the final mission in the game. The LSPD has been informed of a large weapon shipment that will be moving through Port Hokan in the middle of the night. This is an opportunity to put an end to the gun smuggling operation in Los Sueños, so you'll be working with FISA, the FBI, to ensure it goes off without a hitch. But as you delve further into the port, you discover that they've also been trafficking people. There's the visceral horror of the reveal, but it's the conversation you have with FISA that just... well, it leaves you feeling a bit sick. I'm gonna show the scene in its entirety, but I'll need to get a bit creative with the editing. If you've played it, you know why.
Cover me. Clear. No contact.
Doc, we have a container full of women. We need Thames down here right now.
Copy that. Entry team. EFTs and trailers are...
This is FISA. Stand down and shut that door, entry team. We're sending a unit to secure the container and its contents.
What? We're not leaving them like this.
Close the doors! Unless you want to interfere with a federal investigation, I suggest you shut the door and lock it behind you. Do your job and proceed with your mission. Understood?
Understood. Put the other guy back on. We'll talk later.
No, we won't be. FISA out.
Entry team, you are clear to proceed with the mission.
So, they're gonna pick them up later, right? Nope. Maybe your squad goes rogue and saves them in another mission? Nope. Is there any resolution to that plotline? Nope. Do you feel like a hero yet? Yeah, that's a pretty dour note to end the game on. But you know what? Ready or Not shouldn't have a happy ending. Let me explain. A criticism I heard during the early access period was that the game didn't seem to have any sort of clear, overarching theme. I didn't think that criticism made sense at the time. There was nothing wrong with expressing concern about the game's future, but writing it off as not saying anything when it clearly wasn't finished? That's like telling a baker that his cake is bad because there's no frosting on it. Maybe you should let him finish the cake first and then you can critique it all you want. By that point there will be a clear message in the frosting, or at least a tasteful drawing. Now there are countless videos examining the themes of each mission. That's all well and good, but here's the thing. I'm a big picture guy. I'm more interested in what the overarching theme of a story is, what's connecting everything together. And after playing through the finished version of Ready or Not, here's my takeaway. I'm gonna draw a 3-letter word in the aforementioned cake, and that word is rot. Ready or Not is about rot, in all its forms. Moral rot, societal rot, and the one I find most provocative, institutional rot. Criminality spawns from various factors, but Ready or Not implies that the flames of it are fanned by apathetic politicians and corrupt authority. The fish rots from the head down, as the old saying goes. I realized this while listening to the mission briefing for Ides of March, which deals with a group of disabled veterans called the Left Behind, who are enraged by a proposed bill to significantly cut funding for veteran groups in Los Sueños. Keep in mind, this is happening while they're already grossly underfunded. That is not to say that their violent actions are justified, but it's hard not to at least be sympathetic with their anger towards the city, a city whose leaders have let apathy be their guiding principle. It makes me think of that fantastic scene from the movie Seven. What is apathy if not just another form of rot? And rot is everywhere in Ready or Not, literally and metaphorically. The whole time, it feels like you're fighting a one-squad war against it, comforting yourself with the thought that you're making a difference in the grand scheme of things. Apprehending a drug dealer is a relatively small accomplishment, but it's another step closer to fixing the city, right? Sadly, no, and hide and seek shows us why. You see, small accomplishments only make a difference when there isn't a system or institution in place that's actively working against you. And as long as ones like FISA exist, which are perfectly comfortable with turning a blind eye to or instigating suffering, Los Sueños will remain the way it is. The rot will continue to spread, and Judge, as much as he tries to resist it, will eventually be consumed by it, and the LSPD along with him. You've been dealing with external threats the whole game, drug dealers, political extremists, degenerates, and terrorists, so it's fitting that the final mission partially deals with an internal threat. Institutional rot will always be a relevant theme, and I like how it's subtly explored in the earlier missions before exploding into the foreground in the last one. If Ready or Not is to have another DLC, I wanted to explore this theme further. Given the nature of the game, I'd say it needs to. Speaking of needing to do something, bad segue, but give me a break, I'm writing this part at 1 in the morning. It's time we acknowledge... It would be strange to make a video on Ready or Not 1.0 without briefly discussing what is now the most controversial mission in the game, Elephant. Yeah, the one that allegedly made Team 17 drop Ready or Not from its lineup. I'm not gonna beat around the bush here or use algo speak to describe its content. It's the school shooting mission. There goes my monetization probably, but fuck it, the subject deserves to be taken seriously. It's named after the Gus Van Sant movie, though the mission takes place at a community college instead of a high school. The briefing is extremely short. All you have to work with are some photos and a few 911 calls, which, well, they're tough to listen to.
911, this call is being recorded. What is your emergency? What is your emergency?
I need help.
Can you tell me what's wrong?
I'm hiding.
Walrus, please report to staff.
There's blood. So much blood.
Okay, I'm going to need you to stay calm.
Elephant has been the subject of numerous video essays, with many praising Void for including a provocative mission like this in the game. I'm with them in that regard. The depressing reality is that this is a scenario that SWAT officers have to deal with. And as we've established, Ready or Not wants to explore some uncomfortable topics in that line of work. A school shooting mission was inevitable, and a tactical shooter is a suitable vehicle to explore it with. Besides, if games want to continue to be taken seriously as an art form, they should delve into controversial topics like this from time to time, in a way that isn't exploitative, obviously. Okay, now that my position on the matter is clear, here's my take. I don't think it quite works. It's neither poignant nor offensive. It's hollow, and aside from a few effective moments, I don't think it truly gets at the heartache of the subject matter. My opinion on the mission has flip-flopped dramatically. I liked it at first, then disliked it, and after the playthrough I did for this video, my thoughts are now more conflicted. There's plenty about it that works, but it comes up short in a few key areas. To start with the few positives, I think it's fitting that there's barely any music in the mission. As much as I like Ready or Not's soundtrack, it's better suited for high-octane missions involving criminal gangs and terrorists, not something oppressively grim like this. The only music you hear is an infrequent, barely audible drone, and to be honest, I'm still not sure if it's part of the soundtrack or part of the ambience. Either way, I commend Void for their restraint. There's a couple of genuinely upsetting visuals that are, admittedly, more effective when experienced in single player. The aftermath of the massacre in the lecture hall is haunting, and if there is a moment in the mission that does stick with you, it's this one right here. But the biggest issue I have with Elephant is that there's a noticeable disconnect between the civilians' behavior and the urgency of the situation. This is what I meant earlier when I said everything about this mission feels off. It's a timed mission, but it doesn't feel like one since the civilians are way too passive and calm. Do I need to say what's wrong with that? There are 4 active shooters patrolling the campus, and yet nobody makes a run for the exits or tries to hide in a closet or under a table. They just stand around in the middle of classrooms and hallways waiting for the shooters to kill them or for you to restrain them. The mission should have at the very least begun with several civilians rushing out of the entrance as you approach the campus. That's more believable and would have visually reinforced the urgency of the situation. Instead, the mission, from start to finish, just feels lifeless and shallow. Don't you think you're focusing too much on the presentation and not enough on the content? Correct, but to restate a point from my early access video, how you depict something is just as important as what you're depicting. I'm glad that Ready or Not isn't shying away from a topic like this, but I'm not giving it a pass for that alone. By that logic, I should praise that extremely tasteless school shooter game mode in Gmod, right? No, of course not. Good presentation is ultimately what separates the poignant from the tasteless, or in this case, what makes something believable. And Elephant isn't believable. It's a hollow facsimile of the extremely depressing reality it's trying to depict. And here's the thing, I know Ready or Not can do better. I've seen Ready or Not do better. And it's because I think so highly of this game and its dev team that I'm scrutinizing this mission so hard. I've had strong reactions to several missions in the game, but with Elephant, I just feel empty. And not empty in a thought-provoking way, but empty in a I just spent 30 minutes staring at a wall way. Anyway, I think it's time we wrap this up.
I'm gonna mirror this quickly. Oh, hang on. Light up that door right now.
I heard the sprinting.
Alright,
Light it up!
You'll see why when you come outside.
Yeah, hey dude, how you doing?
Alright, come on, let's get a move on.
The road to Ready or Not 1.0 has been a long and bumpy one, and the same can be said for its post-launch lifespan. First, there was the kerfuffle with the game's code getting stolen, the DLCs were initially only playable in multiplayer, and then the game abruptly transitioned to UE5, which was a nightmare for modders at the time. It hasn't been the smoothest sailing for our favorite tactical shooter, but I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons. 1. Regardless of my issues with the game and the turmoil surrounding its development, I still think Ready or Not is a great game. There's this false idea that's been hanging around since the 360 era that games need to be more cinematic. That in order to be seen as art, to be able to tackle real-world issues, they essentially need to be playable movies. This, in my mind, is a waste of the interactive medium. What I love about Ready or Not is that it has plenty to say with its narrative while still being an excellent game. I began my closing statement in my early access video with, I have confidence this will end up being a fantastic tactical shooter, and a worthy successor to the SWAT series. And now with all the bug fixes, quality of life improvements, DLC, and extended customization, I'd say it's lived up to those lofty expectations. I wouldn't have put over 200 hours into it and made it one of my go-to co-op games if I felt otherwise. And I've probably spent an equal amount of time pondering its subject matter, and that's a rare thing in this industry, for a game to be both narratively compelling and stimulating from a gameplay perspective. I'd say Cyberpunk 2077 also fits the bill, but that's a video for another time. I'm not saying that we need more tactical shooters like Ready or Not, but we definitely need more games with a similar design philosophy. When a game like that comes around, we need to hold on to it as tight as we can, and Ready or Not is one such game. Oh right, I had a second point. And 2, don't turn Ready or Not into live service slop. I know that's probably an irrational fear, but I've seen too many promising co-op games fall down the same hole. Payday 2 comes to mind. I know this is a controversial opinion, but I thought Payday 2 was better when it wasn't an orgy of wacky abilities and every player wasn't running the same broken build. For me, it's a prime example of feature creep destroying the identity of a game. So I'd like to state for the record that I don't want Ready or Not to go on forever. I want it to have a clearly defined endpoint, a final DLC or update that signals to the player base, we're done. We've said all we wanted to say and done everything we can do with Ready or Not. To reiterate, the purpose of this video is to judge the game for what it is, and not what it isn't. But while I am pleased with the game in its current state, the rockiness of its development makes me a little concerned about its future. I don't want it to succumb to feature creep, nor do I want it to go on for so long that everyone gets sick of it, like Call of Duty. I mean, can you imagine still getting excited for a new Call of Duty? That's like getting excited for a new season of Law and Order. Speaking of saying everything you can possibly say, this is where I'll leave off with Ready or Not. For now. Maybe I'll revisit the game in a couple of years, provided that I have something to add to the conversation. But for now, to quote everyone's favorite disembodied voice, Talk, I'm gonna put it on safe and let it hang. You know how I said this video is the equivalent of a medical checkup? Well, this addendum is like if the patient returned to my office a few days later after breaking his legs falling down a flight of stairs while simultaneously having a bout of explosive diarrhea. So here's the condensed version for those who haven't been following this train wreck. The console version of Ready or Not was censored in order to comply with Sony and Microsoft storefront policies. And, because Void says they don't want to maintain separate versions of the game, parts of the PC version have also been censored. Yeah, Ready or Not, censored. So I guess this statement means nothing now, right, Void? The game and both DLCs are currently undergoing some good old-fashioned review bombing, and while I'm personally not the biggest fan of the practice, I am very much sympathetic with the sentiment. Imagine buying Ready or Not on the promise that it will remain an uncompromisingly dark and mature exploration of topics that many games shy away from, only for the developers to backtrack on that promise years later. It's hard not to feel betrayed, right? And at the risk of sounding dramatic, I do feel betrayed. I've now made 2 videos praising the game for its handling of some extremely dark subject matter, and this is what I get? To quote a classic dad phrase, son, I'm not mad, I'm fucking pissed. Holy shit, I haven't seen something implode this badly since the Titan. And that is without even taking into consideration the visual downgrades, the bugs, and the fact that they somehow messed up the SWAT AI again. But as bad as those may be, the censorship is worse, because not only does it obliterate the impact of certain scenes, it sets a bad precedent moving forward. Don't expect Ready or Not to go to the same dark places as before now that they have console sales to worry about. And here's the thing, right? I was excited when I heard it was coming to consoles. Oh hell yeah, I thought. Now more people get to experience this masterpiece of a game. In fact, this video was intended to be a celebration of the console release. Now it just feels like a cruel joke. Like I'm obnoxiously flaunting a superior version of the game that none of us have anymore. So to you console players out there, that wasn't my intention. I'm just as annoyed about this as you are. I mean, did you see what they did to Valley of the Dolls? One of the most harrowing missions in the game reduced to this? You guys got robbed. I won't go over every change because I'm ready to kick this video out the door, but I'll mention a couple. Remember the crate scene in Hide and Seek? You know, a thematically important moment, not to mention extremely disturbing because the women inside are emaciated, pale, and naked? Well, now they're wearing underwear and sports bras. Yeah, because if there's one thing human traffickers are known for, it's treating their victims with any sort of decency. And then there's the scene with the convulsing kid and twisted nerve. Another distressing moment that leaves you with a massive pit in your stomach because of what's implied. Oh no, she's actually sleeping, guys. Right, of course, she you can totally do that while people are shooting guns in the same building. See, that's what pisses me off about the censorship. Not only does it take the sting out of the more disturbing moments, but the changes don't even make sense in the context of their respective missions. To Void Interactive, I say this: why couldn't you have just added a censor option? Something you could toggle on and off on PC, but forced on for consoles. I mean shit, Kane and Lynch did that 15 years ago. I think most of us would have preferred that over, well, this. And to Sony, I say this: have you looked at some of the games you've published? Like The Last of Us 2? Oh boy, I wonder what this game has. Oh right, an insane amount of blood and gore, some nudity, sex, torture, and oh my favorite, torture with nudity. And you know what? Great. The story and setting justify the graphicness of its content, and I say that as someone who doesn't even like The Last of Us 2. But I applaud Sony for having the balls to publish a game like that. So here's my question: what's wrong with Ready or Not? I'd argue it's no more graphic than The Last of Us 2, and the story and setting do justify the explicitness of its content. It's not exploitative trash or anything like that. I don't get it. I really don't. I'm not letting Microsoft off the hook either. I know they haven't published anything recently, but you know what game is on their storefront? The Outlast Trials. A game with nudity, gore, language, you name it. Here's a couple of clips. If you're squeamish, you might want to look away for a second.
Damn, this is fucking Twin Street though. I got it. Science, I need to capture this. Oh my lord.
Holy shit!
Console, by the way.
Seriously, you're telling me Ready or Not was a problem, but this game wasn't? Bullshit. Complete bullshit. Incidentally, The Outlast Trials is a good game and you should totally play it. I do apologize for the bitter turn this video has taken, but as someone who champions games that take risks, the news of this game's censorship really upset me. I swear I was this close to trashing this video when I heard about it. I'm glad console gamers can play it now, but I wish this wasn't the price we had to pay. Sadly, I'm now more pessimistic about Ready or Not's future, and that really sucks. Okay, we're done here. Alright, let's send this bad boy off to management.
About damn time.
I was in a coma, remember?
More excuses. You know, I preferred the other version of you.
Sorry, what was that?
I meant I preferred the comatose version of you. At least I didn't have to listen to you whine about everything.
You're acting kinda weird today, you know that? Quick question. Do you consider me an authentic crypto voice on YouTube? Let me read this message that was sent to our company's email. I can just read the first paragraph if you'd like.
Just read it.
Okay, fine, jeez. Hey Walrus Studios, I'm the creator and market team at W3.io, and I discovered your channel while researching authentic crypto voices on YouTube, and your content really stood out. With 4,700 subs, you've clearly built a community that values your insights on cryptocurrency.
A community that values your insights? That's a laugh.
Yeah, very funny. Join the W3.io Knights Discord, and we'll automatically assign you the Knights VIP role to make sure you're properly recognized in the community and for downstream opportunities. If you have any questions, just hit reply. Sounds good to me. You're telling me I get special treatment along with the title of Knight? Epic. Sir Cal Warden does have a nice ring to it, don't you think?
Okay, no. I'm exercising my supervisor privileges and vetoing this shit. It's obviously a scam. Are you stupid?
Am I detecting a hint of jealousy in your voice?
Am I detecting an asshole who wants to get punched in the face?
You've made your point.
So he's watching Call Me Devin, he's watching Sign Language Gaming, he's watching Equestrian Gamer.
Hey, hold on, is this Walrus Studios at the bottom?
Yo!